Hi everyone, welcome back to Dento'ZEN. Today we are going to discuss another important salivary gland tumor, that is Warthin's tumor, which can come as a long question or short note for your university exam. You can also get so many MCQs from this topic for your NEET MDS Entrance exam. So today we are going to discuss introduction, other name of this tumor which is commonly asked in viva, definition, histogenesis, theories of this tumor, then all the features, clinical, gross and histopathological features of this tumor, immunohistochemical markers which can be used for the diagnosis, treatment of this tumor and malignant transformation. And finally we'll do a quick summary and we'll discuss few MCQs. So let's start. Before starting, quickly subscribe to dentozen, tap on the like button, hit the bell icon so that you remain notified about new videos. Now imagine if a 62-year-old patient with painless, slowly growing parotid gland swelling comes to your clinic. What should come to your mind immediately? Yes, you should think about pleomorphic adenoma. In the last video we discussed that pleomorphic adenoma presents in this way. That is, it is seen in old patients. It presents as a painless swelling, slowly growing, present from long duration and seen in the parotid region. Then what about Warthin's tumor? Warthin's tumor also presents in the same way. Yes, it is also seen in old patients. It's also painless. It's also slowly growing and it's exclusively seen in the parotid gland. Then how do we differentiate between these two? Clinically, it is very difficult to differentiate between these two. But if your patient gives you additional clinical clues, then it can point towards Warthin's tumor. And what are those three additional clues? If your patient is old male patient, he has a history of smoking, strong association with smoking, and the tumor is bilateral, that is, it is present on both the sides. If you have these three additional clues, then it can hint towards Warthin's tumor. But it can only hint. It's not a definitive or confirmatory diagnosis. For confirmation, we have to do biopsy and look at it under the microscope. Under microscope, it gives three histopathological findings characteristic of Warthin's tumor, and the moment you see those findings, you are very sure that this is Warthin's tumor. So what are those three findings? Those three findings are PCL. Yes, PCL. Now what is this PCL? Now this tumor is made up of epithelium of the salivary glands. So epithelium here in this tumor is arranged in a characteristic pattern, and that characteristic pattern is called papillary projections. Yes, so epithelium forms papillary projections like this, like finger-like projections. So epithelium is arranged in a characteristic way, that is papillary projections. Now what about the second component? Second component is the cystic spaces. C is cystic. So these epithelial papillary projections are extending into a space. That space is, those spaces are called the cystic spaces. So second component C is for the cystic spaces. What about the third component L? Now L refers to lymphoid stroma. What is lymphoid stroma? Now beneath the epithelium we can see lot of lymphoid aggregate, abundant lymphoid aggregate in this tumor. So that is your third component, third finding, that is lymphoid stroma. So if you see all these three findings in a characteristic histopathology, then you can definitely give the diagnosis of Warthin's tumor. So remember, PCL, papillary cystic areas and lymphoid stroma. Now this first case of this tumor was reported in US and it was described by Warthin. Now talking about the other names, how this tumor derives its other names. Yes, what we have learned, that is from PCL. So this tumor is also known as papillary cystadenoma lymphomatosum. That is your commonly asked viva or NEET MDS Entrance MCQ, that what is the other name for Warthin's tumor, or which tumor is known by this name. So papillary cystadenoma lymphomatosum. One more name which is given is adenolymphoma. Next question would be that why it is called by this name, papillary cystadenoma lymphomatosum. You already know the answer, because this gives this characteristic histopathological picture where we see papillary projections, cystic spaces and lymphoid tissue, PCL, and that is why it is given this name. What about the other term? Should we use this term adenolymphoma? No, this term should be avoided. But why? Now, if you look at this term, it says adenolymphoma. It seems that it is some kind of lymphoma, but actually it is not true. So that is why this term should be avoided, because it overemphasizes lymphoid component, and that is why it can be mistaken as a type of lymphoma. So this term should be avoided. Now coming to the definition. So what you know by so far, it is the benign salivary gland neoplasm, occurs almost exclusively in parotid gland, formed from the epithelial cells. Remember, it's formed from the epithelial cells only and not from the myoepithelial. So myoepithelial is found in the pleomorphic adenoma but not in the Warthin's tumor. So remember, myoepithelial is not there in the Warthin's tumor. Then characteristic histopathology it has, that is PCL. Now talking about the theories of histogenesis, how this tumor forms. So pathogenesis is uncertain, but different theories have been given. The traditional theory is that it is derived from heterotopic salivary gland tissue. Now what is heterotopic salivary gland tissue? Hetero means different, topic refers to usually to location. So if the salivary gland tissue is found in different location than its normal location, that is during embryonic development, if salivary gland tissue gets entrapped in the lymph nodes of the parotid region. So there were lymph nodes here, but salivary gland tissue got entrapped in the lymph nodes. So that can lead to Warthin's tumor. That is, we can see both epithelial component from the salivary gland tissue and the lymphoid component because of the lymph nodes. So this will give rise to Warthin's tumor. So that is heterotopic salivary gland tissue theory. Another concept is that first there is proliferation of the ductal epithelial cells of the salivary gland. They will proliferate, and secondary to that there will be associated formation of the lymphoid tissue. So it is associated with secondary formation of the lymphoid tissue. Another theory says that it is a kind of delayed hypersensitivity. So there can be a hypersensitivity to the changes happening in the salivary glands. Another important concept is its strong association with smoking. Very, very important, commonly asked. Which salivary gland tumor can occur secondary to smoking? So that is your Warthin's tumor. And smokers have about 8-fold greater risk compared to non-smokers. And that can also explain its bilaterality. That is why it is seen on both the sides, because smoking can affect both the sides equally. So because of smoking association, it can be seen as a bilateral tumor. Then few other related things. Epstein-Barr virus has also been implicated in its etiology. Radiation induced. This tumor has said to be radiation induced. That can be asked in NEET MDS Entrance. Which benign salivary gland tumor is induced by radiation? So that is Warthin's tumor. Then also cytogenetic abnormalities have been found with the recent studies. So those are the different theories. Heterotopic salivary gland tissue theory, then this another concept related to that, then delayed hypersensitivity, smoking, Epstein-Barr virus, radiation induced, and cytogenetic abnormalities. What about clinical features? Age, gender, site. So site you already know, it's most commonly exclusively seen in the parotid gland. So what about the tumors? Most common tumor of the parotid gland. Most common tumor of the parotid gland is pleomorphic adenoma. So that is the first most common. Then which is the second most common? So Warthin's tumor is the second most common neoplasm of the parotid gland. That can be your MCQ. Then where in the parotid gland? In the tail of the parotid gland. So that is about the site. What about age and gender? It's seen more commonly in males. Ratio is 10:1. And it is seen in 6 to 7 decades of life, average age being 62 years. Now, if you remember pleomorphic adenoma, in pleomorphic adenoma, females are more commonly affected, and 4 to 5 decades of life are when this tumor is seen. So remember what is about the pleomorphic adenoma and how it is different for the Warthin's tumor. Now talking about the clinical presentation, you already know it's a slowly growing, painless, nodular swelling, but most of the time it is generally superficial. It remains superficial. It can be firm or fluctuant on palpation. When you palpate it, feel it, it will fluctuate, it can move, it can be mobile, and then it can be firm. Then where it is found? In the tail of parotid gland near the angle of mandible. It attains about 2 to 3 centimeter of diameter. Then one important clinical feature which you already know, yes, that is bilateral. This tumor can be seen on both the sides, but only in 5 to 14% cases. And these tumors can arise at different times. Meta means different, chronus means times, because these two tumors may be arising at different times, so they are metachronous. Now, gross features. When we cut this tumor excised, we see it as a smooth mass, well circumscribed and well encapsulated, and it will contain cystic spaces, variable number of cystic spaces. But what is present inside these cystic spaces? That will be your important viva question. These cystic spaces contain a fluid which is chocolate colored fluid. That is asked, what colored fluid is found in Warthin's tumor? So it's chocolate colored fluid. And we can also see areas of hemorrhage. Now, talking about the histopathology, two important components, epithelial and lymphoid. Epithelial component coming from salivary gland tissue and lymphoid from the lymph nodes. Now, how they are arranged gives us three characteristic histopathological findings. That is, epithelial tumor is arranged as papillary projections around the cystic spaces, and lymphoid component is seen as the lymphoid stroma, PCL. Remember that. Now, talking about the first component, epithelial component, papillary projections, but these papillary projections are made up of two layers of epithelium. Yes, very, very important. Bilayered epithelium. Two layers are there in this epithelium, and that can be your MCQ. Which benign salivary gland tumor shows bilayered epithelium? And these are extending into the cystic spaces. Which salivary gland tumor shows cystic spaces? Benign salivary gland tumor shows cystic spaces. Now, when we look at these two layers, what are they made up of? So the inner layer and outer layer. Outer layer is made up of cuboidal cells and inner layer of tall columnar cells, as you can see here, and these are the nuclei. So inner cells are the ones which are towards the cystic lumen. So if you see these cells which are towards the cystic lumen, they are made up of the tall columnar cells with palisading nuclei. What is palisading? So if you look at these cells, the nuclei of all these cells is at the same level. So at the same level, which gives it palisading appearance. So tall columnar cells with palisading nuclei is the inner layer, and the outer layer, which is away, it is made up of oncocytic triangular cells and occasionally basaloid cells. So those are the two layers and the cystic space. Now, this oncocytic epithelium, something is unique about this epithelium, that it gives a special appearance, that these oncocytic epithelial cells, they give granular appearance. Now, what is granular appearance? Granular means they will show the presence of, or they will show appearance like granules in their cytoplasm. So what is this granules? What are these granules? That is your important MCQ. These granules are mitochondria. Yes, these oncocytes have abundant mitochondria in their cytoplasm, and these get enlarged, and that is what gives them granular appearance. So granular appearance in oncocytic cells because of mitochondria. Now, these epithelial cells can also show changes, so that is called metaplasia. So if these cells become squamous cells, that is called squamous metaplasia. They can also show mucous cell changes, but what they do not show never is no myoepithelial. That can be asked in MCQ. Then what about the central spaces, cystic spaces? They contain a pink material which is called eosinophilic coagulum, and this is that material which on gross presents as a chocolate colored fluid in the gross specimen. So what we see as chocolate colored fluid is actually this eosinophilic coagulum as seen on histopathology. Then another term is corpora amylaceae. That can be your MCQ. That where do you see these corpora amylaceae? These are what? Bodies. These are laminated. Laminated means layers. So these are like bodies which are arranged in layers like this. So these laminated bodies, corpora amylaceae, in which tumor they are seen? They are seen in the Warthin's tumor. That can be your MCQ. Now talking about the second component, lymphoid component is made up of lymphoid matrix with germinal centers. So it will appear something like that. Lymphoid matrix is present beneath the papillary epithelial projections, and it is made up of lymphoid germinal centers. So they form the core of the papillae. Core means if these are the papillae, you can look at, they form the core. That means center of the papillae is formed by these lymphoid aggregates. What do they represent? We already know they are coming from lymph nodes. So they can represent the normal tissue of lymph node, or they may show the reactive cellular infiltrate, reaction to the salivary gland epithelial cells. Now talking about the final picture, final diagram that you have to draw, what all features you have to label. You already know PCL. First is your papillary projections lined by bilayered epithelium. Then second is your C, that is cystic spaces containing eosinophilic coagulum, and third is your lymphoid tissue beneath the epithelium with germinal centers. So if you have to label these three features, you can label them, and that can be sufficient for this diagram. Then talking about the immunohistochemical features, principal tumor cell is epithelial cell, which will show presence of cytokeratin but absence of vimentin, and we can also use mitochondrial markers because these oncocytes have a lot of mitochondria. Then what about the treatment? Surgical excision is the treatment of choice. We have to cut the tumor, and because it is usually superficial, so superficial parotidectomy, parotid gland superficial lobe is removed, and usually it is done without injury to the facial nerve. So no injury to the facial nerve. Excellent prognosis, and recurrence seldom occurs after the removal. What about malignant transformation? It is rare in this tumor. Now, another exam question for MDS entrance exam. What is hotspot? Yes, what is hotspot? So, when we do technetium 99 scanning, so certain tumors uptake this technetium 99, and Warthin tumor is one tumor which will take this technetium 99, and this will accumulate inside the tumor. But why? Because Warthin's tumor has lymphoid areas, and these lymphoid areas take up technetium 99 and by this Warthin tumor, and then it will appear as a hotspot. So where do you see hotspot? Which salivary gland tumor? So it is the Warthin's tumor. Now let's do a quick summary. Warthin's tumor is benign salivary gland tumor, second most salivary gland tumors of the parotid gland. Other name is PCL, Papillary Cystadenoma Lymphomatosum. Exclusively seen in parotid gland, can be bilateral in appearance. Strong association with smoking, can be induced by radiation also. More commonly seen in males than females, 6 to 7 decade of life. Histopathologically, two important components are there: epithelial component and lymphoid component. Epithelial component is forming the papillary projections, bilayered epithelium into the cystic spaces and the lymphoid tissue. As the lymphoid component, treatment is surgical superficial parotidectomy. Now let's check what have you learned. So which salivary gland tumor has double layered epithelium, double layered papillary epithelium, bilayered epithelium out of these tumors? Second is, which tumor occurs secondary to smoking? Out of these, which salivary gland tumors has strong association with smoking? What are the granules in oncocytes of this tumor? Lysosomes, Golgi, mitochondria, or inclusion bodies? Then which salivary gland tumor shows chocolate colored fluid in the gross specimen or gross features? Warthin's, basal cell adenoma, pleomorphic, or mucoepidermoid carcinoma? And final question, bilaterally occurring salivary gland tumor, which one is out of these is bilateral? You can pause the video here, mark your answers, and then you can check your answers. So these are the answers. If you have got all of them correct, congratulations. You have understood the concept of the Warthin's tumor, and you can write it for your exams, and you are also prepared for your entrance exam for this topic. If you really enjoyed the video, do give a thumbs up, like this video, share it with your friends. Keep learning, keep supporting, and keep studying. See you in the next video soon. Till then, take care. Bye-bye.